Daniel Agapito here for the Moshville Times, coming at you from the deep dark depths of the Brazilian underground. And today I have the honor of being here with one of the most promising bands in the entirety of the Latin American scene, Poison the Preacher, straight from Bogota, Colombia. So I'm going to leave it to you guys. How are y'all?
Fine. Well, I'm pretty good, man. That was a really good introduction. Thank you so much.
You guys are amazing. So, for y'all that don't know, Poison the Preacher is an incredible crossover thrash band based in Bogota, formed in 2021. They just released their debut album, Versus the World, through Seek and Strike Records on the past 23rd of May. And today I'm here with Juan and Juan to talk about this new album.
Yeah,
So,
that's right.
yeah. So do you guys want to like quickly talk about the band, quickly introduce yourselves?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we started the band in college. We were all studying music at the time. Uh, Most of us already finished, but yeah, we started it as like I don't know, we started it with the goal of not being just a local band, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like we from the start have like really big expectations and really big goals, and we were always looking ahead and we were always planning ahead. So that's a way that you can summarize all that the band has done up to this point, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. And the more like eagle-eyed fans, they will notice that the band's name is actually based off a municipal waste title, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
right.
right.
Mm-hmm. Are they
Yeah,
like
we have had they are a huge inspiration. They are one of my favorite bands, no doubt about it. But it's funny that a lot of people don't catch that. Like a lot of people don't catch that. Since 2023, when the video for Hazardous Vegetation kind of put us out there, a lot of people have come to us saying like, "Oh well, Poison the Whale," or Born the Priest, or like, "You guys are not original," or whatever. And it's funny because, yeah, of course, those names already existed, but like we are not copying them. We are copying municipal waste, like really directly. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not like a reference or anything. It's straight up.
Yeah, yeah. And like sound-wise, you guys do have a quite similar sound to them somewhat. You also have this like dialogue with some more hardcore elements. How would you describe your sound for someone that has never heard of Poison the Preacher?
Well, I think it's actually a weird combination about a lot of things because each one of us has a particular style or type of music or genre of music that we have more affinity to. For example, Juan Pablo, he's like the most hardcore of all the four of us. He knows most of the bands that we try to quote unquote copy.
Mm-hmm.
For example, Sergio, which is the drummer, he's not here. He's not that quite a metalhead. He's actually he listens to a lot of Colombian folkloric music. Like I don't know, like vallenato, I don't know, like Diomedes Diaz, something like that. So it's
Mm-hmm.
quite a thing that it's not related to metal at all. And Tomas is like the punk piece of the pie in Poison the Preacher. He also likes a lot of hardcore, and in my side, I am like the jazzy guy with the prog metal scene. I don't know. I love Dream Theater, so that's and actually you can hear that in the album.
Mm-hmm.
That and actually as soon as we release the album, I know that Juan Pablo and me will look forward to look what people were saying about the album, like about reviews or something like that. And
Mm-hmm.
one thing that we like the most in all the reviews is that nobody can put us like just in one style or one genre. It's like they have some of fusion, they have some of hardcore, some funk, some of thrash. And actually, I think in the sticker of the CD of the album, it says like too trash to be hardcore and too hardcore to be trash. So it's kind of funny.
You guys have a very like dynamic sound. Like there's like the thrashy drums going on, and then some pretty hardcore riffs, and then out of nowhere a very proggy bass line. Like the first time I heard Congelada en el Tempo, that bass line caught me so off guard. Like it's so off guard.
Yeah, for sure.
Crazy
Yeah, for
fast
sure.
riff, and then out of nowhere just prog. It's incredible. Very dynamic.
That is a
Yeah.
ripoff from Cream Crimson actually. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I think that that's one of the things that are like really particular to us, that we have a lot of sections in our songs. Like when we are always recording with a friend of mine, which has helped us produce the songs since the beginning, he always sees these tempo changes and all these different sections, and he goes like, "Oh, classic Poison the Preacher." And you know how you have like a really weird change in pace, and it's I think it's because of what Juan Camilo was saying, that we have all like really different music backgrounds, and we all really have like a different taste. And more than anything is that, we don't like the songs to be stale,
Hmm.
to not change, to not be dynamic. I know that some bands can get away with a song that's really, samey throughout the whole song, but I don't think we can pull that off. So we are used to have a lot of sections and a lot of things going on.
Hmm. And Juan Camilo was talking about the Colombian folklore music with the drummer and stuff. Do you guys think that plays a part in your sound as well, the influence of the more traditional side of things?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, most of the Latin American ideas that are in the album and on previous songs come from Sergio. He's the one that, for example, had the idea to include like something with cumbia, like in Congelado en el Tiempo. And he was also the one who had the idea to include like a really salsa piano, like in Hey Too Much. So yeah, that plays a really big part on our sound, and I think we are really proud that we were able to figure out how to mix our sound with Latin American culture, and I think we're going to explore that a lot more because I think people really enjoyed that stuff,
Hmm.
like on most comments or most reviews that I've heard or read, a lot of them praise that those elements, those Colombian and those Latin American elements. So I think we are going to go more in depth in those things, on the next releases.
Hmm.
And actually, that's something that's really cool about hardcore and also about none, neither of four of us being like a true metalhead. Like we don't think of making just metal or to sound metal. We just think on making music. So if it fits in the song, if we can arrange a way it can be on the song, if it's Latin, if it's poppy, if at a one time we thought about putting, and we still think about putting like a jazz line of saxophone in one of the songs. So if it's gonna fit, it's gonna be there. And as soon as it like to us, it's gonna be put up there.
Hmm. Fair enough. Like if it fits, it's there.
Yeah, if it sounds good, it sounds good. Doesn't matter, what it is.
Hmm. Something I felt with these more Latin influences that they're there. They have a very strong presence, but they don't like dominate the song. It's still like a metal song first, and they're there like as a an added bonus almost.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, uh, we didn't want to make like a cumbia song. We didn't want to make a salsa song in this particular instance. We wanted to make a Poison the Preacher song, but we wanted to include these elements. Maybe, in the future we can include them more. Maybe we can lean into them more. I don't know, But for this instance, yeah, I mean they are like an added bonus for
Yeah.
sure. Like I really agree with that.
And since we're talking about like the future and what you guys plan to do, if we take your first single, Throne of Blood, and this new album, there's a very clear like evolution. Throne of Blood starts off very heavy, very dense. Like, how would you say you guys found your sound in these years you've been active?
Uh, that's a great question, man. I don't think, well, first off, I don't think that we make like really like deliberate choices about what we are going to write. Like, for example, Throne of Blood, it just came out like that. I didn't plan to make like a heavy song and whatever. It just came out like that. And with this album and the next songs that we are writing, it's the same. We don't plan to make a particular style of song. We just do it, you know?
Hmm.
So I think the evolution per se has been like really natural because of that, because we don't think what we're going to do. We just write some riffs, and then we think, oh, this riff could turn into like a really heavy song. This riff could turn into a really fast song. But we don't make like deliberate choices about what we are going to sound like. Like it's always going to be a surprise
Hmm.
per se.
But what I also
So
think that helped on the evolution of the sound is that that first song, that first single, Throne of Blood, it's basically just Juan Pablo writing everything. Like
yeah,
all of the riffs are his, all the lyrics, the arrangement of the songs, like the form of the song. And in the album, or at least since we released, I think the previous split, with his SARS Vegetation and Growling Terror, since we started making those songs, the band started to be like the four-piece band is gonna be started to be more involved in the creative process. So it's like in Throne of Blood there was just one brain, which was Juan Pablo, working on the song and taking decision on everything. In the album was four minds. So like being all of the four agree on how the song is going on. It was quite an exhaustive process at a moment with the kind of easiest song to play. It was the hardest one to to
to write.
arrange,
Hmm.
but I think that can define why the sound is so different, but even the single and the album is still Poison the Preacher, and you can feel it's Poison the Preacher.
Yeah. And you guys were talking about the splits, and I feel like what really made most people in the underground discover y'all apart from this album was the music video for Hazardous Vegetation. It's when I
Yeah.
first saw you. It's an incredible video. So, like, how was that? How was the process of making all of that? Did you guys expect the reaction it had?
No, not at all. Like it was like a real fucking surprise for us. Uh, all that has happened since we released that video, to be honest. And you know, the video started as like a joke, to be honest with you. Like I saw a reel of some guys, playing on like a subway on or some shit like that, like a restaurant or something. And I thought it would be really cool to do that in an auction. That was my first thought. An OXXO is like a 7-Eleven for those who don't know,
Hmm.
like a 24/7 kind of store.
They're in every
And
corner of every Latin American country. You can't come to Latin
yeah,
America and escape
yeah, all
Oxo.
over Latin America.
They're spreading like the plague. They're everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. And well, of course, doing a video in an OXXO is going to be extremely difficult because it's an enterprise or whatever. But uh, at the time, I was with somewhat with my ex-girlfriend, and she does ads like online marketing and stuff like that. And I told her the idea joking,
Hmm.
and she told me, you know what? I'm doing ads for a supermarket chain here in Bogota, like a local supermarket chain. And I was like, well, and do you know the owner? And she said, yeah, I know them. Like she's really cool. I could ask her if you want. And she asked her, and we arranged the whole thing in like a week. It was like really crazy. Like first off, we didn't expect to get the location. because we filmed during the normal the the normal,
The operating hours.
working hours. Yeah, for sure. And there was a lot of random people like like checking us out and doing weird faces and whatnot. And it was like a really cool experience. And we just thought, well, we make a cool video, and we edited it, whatever, and the final result was like really cool, really funny. But we never expected it to go that far, without ads, without anything, because we didn't do like any marketing with it. We just uploaded it,
Hmm.
hope for the best. And it was really weird because we were touring at the time here in Colombia, and we started seeing that each time that we checked the phone, the video had like 10K more views, and it was like insane. Like in a week, in a month or so, it got the 150K views that it has. So it was like a really surreal experience because we never expected anything like that to happen. And it's really cool that that's something that we were able to maintain, that momentum. I was afraid that since we took so long to release the album, since
Hmm.
that video, I was afraid that maybe the momentum was gone. But fortunately enough, that doesn't seem to be the case, because I think things are going pretty good, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like that's also where a bit of your more hardcore side comes in with this very DIY spirits. Like you guys did the video yourselves, you guys went, you guys did it, and you uploaded it, no fancy marketing and stuff, and it blew up in the underground.
Yeah, for sure.
And something else that I don't know how it hasn't blown up yet, but on this new album, the second or third track, "Dying Every Day," has a feature with Devin Swank of
Yeah,
Sengasugabog, which is death metal phenomenon.
insane.
If you're watching this and you haven't heard of Sengasugabog, how? What are you doing? Uh,
Why?
exactly. Why? How did all of that? How did all of that happen? How did you guys like? How was that bridge made between you and Devin?
Actually, I think that was because of Hazard's vegetation video. Like that was the first contact we had with them. Like we don't know why, like how did it happen, but the video went to Devin, I think. I hope it was Devin. And from the Sanguisugabok Instagram page, they grow to the preacher page on Instagram that it's a cool video. That
Hmm.
was the first contact, and since there, I think when Paulo started to plan, like we gotta do something with him because it's not normal that a little band from Colombia. I mean, no one here's band from Colombia, to be honest.
Hmm.
And anyone can think like bands like Sanguisugabog that are playing in huge festivals.
Oh, I think he froze.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Anywhere
it was
it came. So
yeah, it was insane to do that collab with them, because first off, as Juan Camilo was saying, it's insane that a band like Sanguisugabog, playing in Rockville and all these huge fests in America, are, you know, somehow got the video,
Hmm.
and they wrote to us, "You guys are sick," and I was like, "What the fuck?" Like a band that I listen to a lot, that I really look up to, is writing to me that they like our stuff. It was really, really, really insane. So when we were writing the album, uh, we were writing Dying Every Day, and I thought it would be cool. Like in this section, we have like a really deep growling voice, whatever. And then I got the idea: what if I ask Devin,
Hmm.
because there's this band, Pain of Truth. If you haven't heard it, go check them out.
Incredible.
Uh, most of their songs on their albums have features with other legendary fucking bands. So I got the idea: what if I just ask him,
Hmm.
whatever. Worst he can say is no. So I ask him, and he says, "Yeah, for sure, I'm down." And I was like, "Oh fuck, this just got real." So we set everything up, and then I talked to Chris Ramos from Dead Hit, which we became friends when they played in Colombia. Because I said to myself like, well, Devin said yes, maybe this other band that I really look up to will also say yes. So
Hmm.
fortunately enough, they were both like really into it, and yeah, they were really cool guys. They, you know, did it with the best energy possible, and I think the result shows it. Like I think it really came out fucking amazing, to be honest. Like I'm really proud that we were able to work with them.
Hmm. Yeah, it turned out great. Two amazing songs. And like more general question, more open question. If you guys had to choose one song off the album to recommend to our viewers, to our listeners, which one would it be?
I would recommend Dying Every Day for sure. Dying Every Day and Sucker Punch. I think those two are like really strong songs that will get you, like an idea of what this band's about.
I'm
Hmm.
agree with him, but just for the record, I'm gonna choose different songs. So Congelada en el Tiempo, for sure, it's gonna be a big piece of the pie that can describe our sound to anyone that hasn't heard anything about us before. And probably Hate Too Much could be another good song to hear.
Hmm. And since you're talking about Congelado, something I found very interesting is that in Congelado and 1312, you guys sing in Spanish. So, what
Yeah,
would you say is like the importance of singing your native language, singing Spanish, giving that representation to the Spanish speaking side of metal?
well, of course, I think it's really important to represent your culture, you know. That's why we did all this Latin American stuff in the album. But more than anything, we speak these two languages, and we do songs in English because we all grew up listening to bands singing in English, Metallica, Slayer, Megadeth, whatever.
Hmm.
Uh, but sometimes when we are writing a song, the song just tells you, like, I want to be in Spanish. Like, I don't know. Like, you just know. You just know it's not going to sound good in English. So you start writing stuff in Spanish, and it starts to sound good, and you say, okay, I guess this is going to be in Spanish. Like, of course, we want to represent our culture and everything, but it's not like like a decision, like a quota, like we have to have a song in Spanish. It's not like that. It's something that comes naturally to us. And fortunately enough, I think it's a good representation of what a Colombian crossover hardcore band could be. And more than anything, a lot of these hardcore bands have Latin American people in them, like a lot of them have members that are Latin American.
Hmm.
For example, E-Town Concrete, which we are going to be playing in Mexico later this year, they have a Colombian guitar player, for example, and that's a legendary New York band. So those kind of stuff, uh, like I think are really important. We have to stick together, and we have to like enlighten the thing that makes us special, which is our culture. You know?
Yeah. And it's also something that makes you guys stand out because it's not something we see every day, right? At least in the more heavy sides of metal and hardcore and the more mainstream things, we don't really see that happening. I mean, there's like
Hmm.
brujeria, but it's more of a almost satirical side, and Spanish is kind of lacking in metal compared to the amount of people that speak it.
Yeah, that's right. I don't know why with so much Latin American representation in all of these bands, I
Hmm.
think it's really weird to be honest.
Yeah.
But I don't care if they do it for like a commercial reason or whatever. We don't care about that stuff, so whatever.
Mhm. And like in general, what would you say differentiates these newer bands, these newer thrash bands like you guys from some of the older bands? Like not necessarily just sound wise, but also like mentality wise and whatnot.
Hmm. Mm, maybe I think first of all is the the hardcore influence that we have because these other bands also have a hardcore influence, but the hardcore they were influenced by it's really different from the hardcore we were influenced by. Like
Hmm.
when Suicidal Tendencies for Metallica and or all of these bands started, the hardcore bands were bands that had more like a punk sound, Minor Threat, Bad Brains, Gorilla Biscuits, whatever. They sound more punk, but the hardcore bands that influence us are bands that sound more metal, like Moroder, like Integrity, like more of the newer ones like Drain and Terror and whatever. That
Hmm.
they have like a more heavy influence on them and they sound heavier. So first off, I think that's a really huge difference. And second of all, it's what Juan Camilo said. Like we are not looking to make like the most heavy, most extreme, most true hardcore music. We are just looking to make music that we like, We're
Hmm.
just going to make music first of anything.
Yeah.
What I also think that can mark a huge difference in the previous hardcore scene and to the newest one, not just the hardcore scene, but also the metal scene everywhere, like the young metal scene, is that for example, if you see bands like Speed or Turnstile, they're playing in huge festivals, like huge stages that it's not that or was not that common like years ago, like hardcore bands playing at a Coachella, at a Lollapalooza. It was not that often that happened. So they're like the newer bands can see like your music doesn't have to be like just painted in one color. So if you play something with distortion, you gotta be just at Wacken, at Rock in Rio, just in festivals that has metal in it. You can play whatever you want to. I mean,
Hmm.
it's quite a variety of colors, and if you can try to like in a hippie way think about painting with whatever you would like to paint, and it's visually good, it's gonna work. And also about the social media, I think it's really important that you don't need a lot of money to put your music out. If you don't have the money, you don't have to sacrifice it all. I mean, you just can try to do the best effort that you can in your home with your laptop, with your cell phone. And if it's cool enough, it's gonna do something for you.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's right. Like the DIY mindset, it's more spread out nowadays. Like back then, you have to have like someone who put up the money for studio time and whatever. But right now, you just need like a computer and that's it.
Yeah, and it feels like hardcore is like more heavily permeating music in general, right? Like there's a bunch of hardcore influenced death metal bands now, like the Sanguesugabog 200 Stab Wounds type of line.
Yeah, for
There's also
sure.
the more mainstream bands like Knock Loose and Turnstile who just released the new record last week. It's like getting it's
Amazing
growing.
album.
Amazing album for sure.
Yeah, amazing fucking album. I haven't stopped listening to it.
It's incredible. It's incredible. But it's like growing pretty fast, right?
Yeah, like really fast.
Hmm. Do you think metal is gonna experience something similar, or is metal something that's like more destined to be underground?
What
I
do you
think
think?
that metal is already experiencing it, to be honest. Because you have bands like Sleep Token and you have bands like Bad Omens and Spirit Box and all these bands that are new bands and they are headlining huge festivals. So I think it's not going to happen for the metal bands that are doing the same thing that has been already done. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And it's not like like we are none the wiser, because we are not reinventing the wheel or whatever. But I think people are really digging, these kinds of fusions that are happening right now. Like, for example, Spirit Box that is like using like a lot of pop and a lot of, modern production into their sound. And the same thing with Turnstile, they are
Hmm.
having all these different soundscapes into their music. And I think it's already happening to metal, but I think it's not getting as much attention as hardcore because the hardcore side of things, I don't want to say this, but it seems to be more fun. Like you watch the speed shows, you watch the Knox Loose shows, you watch the Turnstile shows, and they seem like a great fucking time. All the people
Hmm.
moshing and stage diving and dancing, and I really think that does a huge part in why hardcore is getting so big right now. Because of social media and people sharing this experience and sharing the fact that hardcore is has like a more personal connection between band and audience.
Hmm.
What I also think that can be affecting in that is that it's not like it is easier for hardcore rather than metal, but they're not that afraid in hardcore like to use different, I don't know, like instruments, different styles of music. Like you check hardcore bands that there's someone playing saxophone, someone playing flute. You check Turnstile and they can be in the most moshy song, and the next song it's gonna be like a sad song, like a type of ballad song. And right now in the newest metal scene, everything's tending to be proggy, and I love prog, but like everything that is coming out being prog, it's not so much fun, to be honest. Like,
Hmm.
if we have more variety on the sound, if a band can have more variety in the sound, it's gonna also acquire a bigger scene because it's more probable that you like to a lot of different people. Like maybe not the most metal one, like I don't know, let's say that you can like to someone that hears Deftones, to someone that hears Foo Fighters, to someone that hears, I don't know, like hip hop. But in metal, if it's bands like Steve Token or Lorna Shore, it's quite a smaller range of people that can like your shows.
Hmm.
I also have something else that I just thought about. It's that I think also metal is getting like a little bit too complicated in a sense. Like for example, metal is getting, attention for sure. For example, Power Trip is doing great. Like before Riley, rest in power, all that happened. Power Trip, well, on top of the world, and now that they came back, they are still like really on top. And it's because Power Trip style is really meat and potatoes. It is what
Hmm.
it is and nothing else. And I think hardcore also has that quality to it that is like really meat and potatoes, and it can have uh more stuff over it, but it's really what it is and nothing else. And I think that most metal bands are adding like a lot of stuff. There's like a lot of stuff going on, and maybe people in the broader scheme of things are not like into that.
Hmm.
But something like Power Trip is easier to get into because it's catchy, it's
Yeah.
simple, it is what it is.
Hmm. Like the essence of the sound is there.
Exactly.
And since we're talking about huge festivals and whatnot, in 2023, if I recall correctly, you guys played Rock al Parque. How was that?
Hmm. Insane.
It was, I
Insane.
think, the best experience of everyone in the band. Actually, speaking for myself, I don't remember being on the stage. I was like in a shock status all the time, so I don't remember how was the sight from the stage. So it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Like it all happened so fast.
Hmm.
Like it was a 45-minute show, and I remember like I played 10 minutes, you know. It was like an insane experience, one of the most insane things we have ever done. And hopefully we can, do something similar again in another country, you know. That would be
Hmm.
the shit.
Yeah. And how is it like for a more traditionally underground band to play such a big stage so early on?
Insane. Like it was unbelievable. It was an unbelievable experience, to be honest with you. We we kind of blew up from there here in the Colombia scene, you know?
Hmm.
Like since we played in Rock al Parque, like a lot of doors have opened for us. And you know, people start to come at us to get us into shows, you know, like before Rock al Parque, we have to talk to promoters and talk to bands like, hey, I want to play in your show, whatever, whatever. And most people didn't know what we did
Hmm.
until we released the Hazardous Vegetation video, and then we played Rock al Parque. It was like a two-hit combo, and it really put us in the map, you know, like really strongly. And then we started to work more to be in better shows, be in better audiences, you know. Um, that opened the doors for us to be in bigger shows, that opened the doors for us to be in other countries, you know.
Yeah.
So it was like a really good experience, and it was like a really good thing to for our career, you know. Like it really, really like a really good exposure.
Hmm.
And it was funny because a week before that show, we were doing another show presenting like the split release in tape, and in that show were like attended like 12 people, and then
Yeah.
the next weekend, we were at this big, huge festival, and I personally think about, I mean, it was like a good hour, like a good time set for in the whole lineup, like
Hmm.
6:30 p.m. in the here in Bogota at 6, the sun start to to go away. So it's quite a good moment for us to play, but I didn't think that much people were about to see us. And when you see the photos, when you see like the statistics of the show, it was like from 60 to 80,000 people. So it was the shit.
Hmm. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
an
it
insane
was
amount of
insane.
people. And you guys talked about doing that in other countries, and this year you guys are scheduled to play Off Limits Festival in
Yeah,
Mexico with E-Town Concrete, Pulley. I'm forgetting the big headliner, but there's a
cold
big
water
band in
music.
there. Exactly, Hot Water Music. My friends in Paura, amazing Brazilian hardcore band. Check them out if you don't know.
That band is the shit, man.
Paura
I'm
is
so
incredible.
excited to meet them as well. Oh, that's awesome.
Paura
I'm
is
really excited to
incredible.
meet them, man. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like a really classic, Latin American crossover band, and I was really excited to see them on the flyer next to us. I'm really
Mm.
excited to share the stage with them.
They are incredible. Great live show. Great live show. Fabio has an insane energy on stage. It's great.
Mm.
And how are expectations? How are expectations for the festival?
I mean, uh, I'm really excited to be on the festival, because first off, the lineup is insane. Like it has a lot of bands that I really listen to on a daily basis. So I'm excited to watch all the shows. I'm excited to meet all those people, to buy, some shirts and whatnot from all those bands that I love. Uh, but also, I think it's going to be like really like a good second exposure in Mexico because we already went there, but this is going to be like a bigger show, more people and whatever. So I'm really excited to, uh, really set our presence in Mexico, and have a lot more people behind us, in that country because I love Mexico. I think it's a great country and I think it has a great scene. So I'm excited to play in that big show, and be able to come back, in better shows and come back as a headliner maybe. So
Hmm.
it's like a really good step apart from a good show.
And also being able to present new songs. Presenting new songs is always so great for us.
Yeah, yeah. And since most of our audience is UK based, I don't know if they have much of an idea of how the Latin American scene is like. So, how is the metal scene out there in Colombia? I know there's a bunch of gigs going on always. A bunch of bands when they tour Colombia is always on the map. There are even some bands that come to Latin America to do shows only in Colombia. And as a Brazilian, that makes me incredibly angry, but that's besides the point. Uh, how is the metal scene like in Colombia?
Yeah, that also happens to us when bands announce Latin American tour, and it's just Brazil and Chile and Mexico, and
In
it's
Argentina.
like, dude, what the fuck? That happens a lot. But I mean, the Colombia scene is really underground, to be honest with you. Like, we don't have like a really big, like huge, massive band like you guys have Sepultura, for example,
Mm,
or like
mhm,
Argentina has Soda Stereo, and whatnot. Like we have like good bands, like good rock and good metal bands that have, like a good international exposure, like Witch Trap, like Massacre. But there's no one that is like as big as you guys have with Nervosa, Crypta, Crisium,
mhm,
uh, Ratos de Porado, and Sepultura, obviously. We don't have that, we don't have like a really huge international band. So everything is really local, and there's a lot of shows going on all the time. So the scene can be as small as you want or as big as you want, because the same scene is the one that watched us on Rock al Parque, so 70K people, but the same scene can also be on, like 200 people show or 100 people show.
mhm,
So it could be, both things. It's a really difficult scene, if I'm honest with you. Like, it's a really difficult scene because there's a lot of shit going on all the time, and there's a lot of bands, and there's a lot of music new releasing every day. So it's really a rich scene because it has so much variety and so much great bands. But yeah, I think the industry, the industry side of things, it's really lacking. Like,
mhm,
we don't have like things in a massive scale. That's the thing that's kind of lacking. So it's really almost all underground, to be honest. But
Yeah,
it's
like
great. I love it.
the local fan base is crazy. I mean, the metal and hardcore and punk fan base here in Colombia, it's crazy. I mean, you, for example, I know this weekend on Sunday, we're gonna have a show playing under the bridge, totally for free, like a do-it-yourself stage. So it's not of the sound you can get, but I know that the show is gonna be the shit. That show is gonna be full, and that show is gonna be fun, and everyone gonna start dancing and moshing. I know that. But for example, in terms of like the industrial scene or maybe the support the bands can get for, I don't know, for labels, governments, or promoters, it's really, really, really difficult to get because that those doors are not that wide open for every band. I don't know, for example, you can see that one of the classical metal bands in Bogota open for Iron Maiden, they can open for Kiss, but it's just like one band is gonna open for four huge bands that come from outside of the country. But why don't they give the chance to a newer band? And actually, recently we tried to apply for like a government support to do a tour outside of Colombia. We didn't achieve that goal. And one of the answers were like, you're not that old enough to get the exposure outside of the war. And I think like how that can be matter. I mean, if I am something that's the one to support like the art and the music in my country, If I see a band that is 3, 4 years old and they release an album that is good, they play at a Rock al Parque, they tour outside the country already. I'm looking forward to support them to tour outside, but for any reason they don't do that. So it's still a little bit late and lucky in that, but even though it's getting stronger because like last 2 years ago we had Turnstile playing here and a Colombian band, a legendary Colombian hardcore band, which is Rubber Gate. So shout out to
Shout out to
Rubber Gate.
Robert. Shout out
They
to Carlos.
they opened for Turnstile, so that's quite a huge step that I think no one expected.
Yeah. And do you guys have any Colombian band recommendations? Any other bands you'd like to shout out for our audience?
Yeah, I have a bunch of them, but first off, I want to say another thing. I think like the real issue why there's not like a really industry complex behind music, well, behind underground music here in Colombia, it is because the Bogota scene is the only one that is as big. You know what I mean? Like for example, the Medellin scene, which I would guess is the second biggest, is good, but it's not that you know good, to be honest. Like when bands come here to Colombia, they only tour in Bogota. Like they do a show in Bogota and no more shows. But for example, I have seen Skeletal Remains do like a whole fucking tour in Brazil, for example,
Mm-hmm.
or like a whole tour in Mexico, like 10 dates. Man, it's insane. They can never pull that off here in Colombia because apart from Bogota, I don't think that the other shows are going to be as big, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like the other scenes are not that big. So I think that's also like a real problem because there's a lot of bands and most of the things that are going on the scene are located in Bogota.
Uh,
So it's like a huge warfare between all the local bands in Colombia to get these spots that are only located on the capital. So it's really difficult. But
yeah.
yeah, band recommendations. Shout out Rob Brigade, amazing band. I love that band. Uh, Shout out to Ceguera, also really amazing, like metalcore, deathcore kind of band. Shout out Psycho Mosher. We did the split with them. Really amazing band. I really like them a lot. They are going to release an album soon as well. Uh, I actually produced that album, so I know it's going to be really good. uh, I don't know what else. Mm, well, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Let me think about it a little bit.
While you're thinking, you mentioned the Skeletal Remains tour that they did here in Brazil. And it was very funny because they didn't play São Paulo, which is by far the
They
biggest market
didn't?
in Brazil. They didn't play São Paulo. They just neglected São Paulo.
What
The
the
closest city
fuck?
they played was Arujá, which is this tiny, tiny city in basically the middle of nowhere in the countryside of São Paulo state, but they didn't play São Paulo.
That's weird, dude. That's
Yeah.
really weird. Like when, like, obviously we have looked into going to Brazil, and Sao Paulo is by far, the place you have to get to. Like all the
Mhm.
big shows, all the big fests, all that's happening, it's happening in Sao Paulo. It's really weird that you mentioned that.
Yeah,
I would think that like the first show was going to be Sao Paulo. That's really
they
weird,
didn't.
man.
They didn't play it. This tour, the people that brought them over was Tumba Produções, which is from the drummer of Nervo Caos. So he's the
Okay,
one that's
cool
bringing a
band.
bunch of smaller bands. He also runs this festival here, Setembro Negro, which
Oh,
is
I know that festival. Power Trip is playing there, right?
Power Trip is playing there. Power Trip is playing there.
Shit, man. That's amazing, dude.
Hmm.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you are the only ones that are going to get Power Trip. Like I know they are not going to play in any other Latin American country. I know it, man, because that festival always does that. It
Hmm.
brings like these amazing bands, And I don't know why, but they don't do any more dates around. They just do September Negro and that's it.
Yeah, it's basically Brazil's underground Wacken.
Yeah.
This year they're bringing over Power Trip, Primitive Man, Candlemass, Agalok. They were bringing over Watain, but they canceled, so they're bringing in Overkill. Insane amount of bands. Insane amount of
Awesome, man.
bands.
That's insane. I really love the shows that Brazil, puts up,
Hmm.
Awesome. I really love Brazil. I really want to go there,
We
to
will
be
love to
honest.
be invited.
Yeah.
Doors are open. Doors are open.
Yeah, we would really love to, man.
Yeah. And that's it for my questions. If you guys want to say anything, recommend some more bands, send a message to our
Yeah.
listeners in Brazil, in the UK, feel free.
Yeah, I would like to recommend a few bands now that I thought about it. I want to recommend Real House of Hate from Medellin. Incredible band. I love them. I want to recommend Grito from Medellin as well. Amazing band as well. I want to recommend Kitchen from Bogota. More like emo kind of stuff. Really amazing band as well. I want to recommend El Maquinista, like really noisy kind of, I don't know, punk grind, like full of hell kind of shit. I also want to recommend Criterio. I also want to recommend A Sangre Fría. I also want to recommend, I don't know, a lot of bands. Colombia has a really cool roster of bands. Like if you really are looking for new stuff to hear, like really recommend you to look up some Colombian underground bands, look up some bands that played in good shows in Colombia, look at bands that have played with us. Most of them
Hmm.
are really cool. So yeah, like if you want to check us out, I also invite you to check out more Colombian bands and Colombian music in general. It doesn't have to be like metal or hardcore or whatever. Like the message I would want to give to the listeners is to, of course, go check the album out now, streaming everywhere. Buy it if you have the chance to buy it, and catch us on tour on Europe. We're going to be on Europe. We're going to be in Mexico. If you had the chance, catch us over there. And also, uh, support your local bands, man. Like for real. Support your local bands. All your favorite bands were once local bands, so always support the bands from your city, the bands from your neighborhood. Always try to do something for the scene. For example, in the UK, the UK has fucking amazing underground bands. For example, Pest Control. I fucking love Pest Control, one of my favorite bands right now. They are from Leeds. So, support your local bands, man. And listen to some Colombian music while you are at it.
Yes, and my message is kind of the same, like support your local scene, not just metal. I mean, it's if you love hip hop, jazz, whatever, just support him because you never know. I mean, some of the big bands, all of the big bands that we're seeing right now in huge festivals, years ago they were in that little local scene, and with the support of their fans, they gotta be in those huge festivals. And if there's any, I don't know, band or any musician hearing this, don't focus on making just one type of music. Just think about making music. And if you want to think about making music, if you want to make music, listen to a lot of music. Don't be just in one genre. Now that we have all these platforms, you can just be in Spotify and listen to everything randomly. And for sure, of every genre, you're gonna get a good idea. So if you're a musician, don't stop making music. You gotta make music.
Yeah, great message. So thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Since we're talking about bands that are going to be huge, Poison the Preacher is going to be huge. You're going to hear way more about them. They're going to
I
blow up.
hope so.
If you guys don't blow up, something is deeply wrong with the metal scene. And yeah, go check out their album. It's out on every streaming platform. It's out physically, I'm pretty sure, through their label. And yeah, Poison the Preacher versus the World. Thank y'all so
Yeah,
much.
go check it out. No, thank you, man. It was a blast.